Paul. Yes. I'm just making sure that the state, each and every state in the United States understands. Yes. The arrest that took place in Sequim, Washington, or should I say, well, wait a second. You issued a traffic citation, right? I wasn't in Sequim, Washington. For some reason, I'm mentally ill or mentally defective for being able to prove exactly where I was at the time of the alleged crime. Ouch! And you, as a police and sheriff's department, are just shit fucking crazy for thinking that I wouldn't put you in prison for the rest of your lives. Now, as a man, okay, it looks to me like this court, in response to the defense's motion to dismiss, does not feel an obligation, right, to enforce the actual laws necessary to issue a court order. You did not give me any notice or opportunity to be heard. Coach, the petitioner did not acknowledge your court order. Yes. There was no attempt of service. Right. You served me in the Squim Public Library. Yes. And then you arrested me for a crime I didn't commit. And as every time I tell you this, you decided that as a man, I'm going to do what you say. Now, when I look at every man of the United States, I'm going to look at these protection orders. It seems that women, yes, I know you're a woman, and you and me, we both know the horror stories of those that have actually been victimized. Yes. But then there are the women that like to use protection orders to obstruct men's rights to their children. Yes. See, not every woman's honest, as much as we dislike that thought. Phew. So why don't you get me every fucking protection order in the state of Washington for the last 20 fucking years? Now, I want to know how many of them actually suffered any physical abuse. Women, use profanity just as abundantly as men do. They know how to call a guy a bastard. Coach, biggest fucking dick in the world. A real prick. That's what they know how to say. For some reason, if a man uses, you would be surprised at the actual identity of those that have courts issue court orders. They walk in all tearful about, oh my gosh, he just abused me and he did all this horrendous stuff and he's the worst cretin in the face of the earth. I mean, just a real asshole. And those male judges feel such a compulsion. But as a man, yes, you had an obligation for the equal protections of the law. Now, Mr. Calgill can go to prison, and I'm going to sue you for every fucking thing you own. Do you understand? Maybe Mr. Nichols. Ooh, uh, see, you say just because we issue a court order, yes, it's enforceable. And that I, as a man, right, have to go to court and I have to motion a court that allows for forgery. Yes, that allows for the fraud of issuing court orders without the acknowledgement of the actual petitioner. Yes, that I have to do what you say because I'm a man and you're going to teach me how to be a man. Well, let's look at it. Oh, my record was expunged in 2012. I had no criminal record. Yes. Had no arrest record. Who was it that prosecuted me in the first trial in 2012, Mr. Calgill? Wasn't it you? Yes. And didn't you lose that trial and I was found not guilty, Mr. Calgill? Yes. And for some dumb fucking reason, you as a judiciary decided. Now, is there a conflict of interest for having the same prosecuting attorney? Yes. Try me, for the same offense twice. Yes, once in 2012 and once in 2016. Now, I would have thought that Mr. Nichols would have considered this, that as a man, I'm going to look at the amount of prejudice, bias, and discrimination throughout this whole nation because you, as a judiciary, refuse to acknowledge my gender. It does not protect the women or the children for you to violate the laws of the United States. It really doesn't. Does it now? See, these laws, right, they're there for the protection of both parties. Now, I know that Heidi abused the judicial system in 2011. Oops, I wasn't a resident. Ooh. You yourselves didn't have any jurisdiction. Oh. But when you did this in 2015, yes, there was no attempt of service. Yeah. And then you attempted service twice, but you didn't serve me. Yes. And then it happened 40 days after. And then you served me in the Sequim Public Library. Isn't that right? Sequim Police Department. Oh, shh. But then you attempted service on somebody else. Ooch. On August 18th of 2015. Yes. And then you did serve somebody else on August 27th of 2015. Now, how is it possible that this is legal when you serve someone other than the respondent? You can't serve the petitioner. The law requires the petitioner to appear in court, or the court will dismiss the order and they will not have the protections of the order. Now, for every judge in the United States that thought for the last 60 years, we're going to issue this for the protection of the women and children.